Hello there. Hillary Clinton wants Boris Johnson to make vaccines compulsory in the UK. As per usual, please like, subscribe and comment below. And when subscribing, please do press that little bell, but also select the all option, or you won't get any notifications when I publish a new video. What is it about US Democrat Party politicians that they think they have the God-given right to wend their way over here and dictate to the people of the UK? And barking at our politicians and telling them how to run this country. Barack Obama did it over Brexit, remember? And Joe Biden is doing it over the Northern Ireland Protocol, something he obviously has not one single clue about. And now we have Hillary Clinton trying to control the UK agenda on this pandemic. I do think it is imperative that the Prime Minister does what he can to stop the rise in COVID in the UK, she told the Andrew Marr Show. He doesn't need to shut society down, but he does need to mandate vaccines. And she does, of course, also believe in enforcing vax passports as well. And the BBC only had to wait another week. They could have wheeled her out next Sunday evening in a coffin as a Halloween scare so as to complete the effect. And all this comes as no surprise given the left's well-known preference for shutting down societies and their freedoms. And Madam Clinton points at New York, where vaccines for health workers are compulsory with a no jab, no job policy, where those who refuse are being suspended and fired. Now, when this first came into effect, the reports were that New York would, if necessary, rely on the National Guard and poaching healthcare workers from outside New York and even internationally to fill the gaps of those that refuse to take the jab. One company has already reportedly fired 1,400 of its staff over this. Now, NPR.org reported at the time, that could mean declaring a state of emergency to allow healthcare professionals licensed outside of New York, as well as recent graduates and retirees, to practice there. Other options include deploying medically trained National Guard members, partnering with the federal government to send disaster medical assistance teams to local health and medical systems, and exploring ways to expedite visa requests for medical professionals. Anyone see the flaw there? i.e., which states and countries have to give up their doctors and nurses just to service New Yorkers? Now, isn't it funny that Clinton appears on the BBC on a Sunday morning talking about this stuff, just as our own healthcare professionals are lining up to demand that the UK goes for the pandemic Plan B, which talks about vaccine passports. Now, I know that Boris has chosen to scrap those for England, or maybe just shelve them until they've become more politically acceptable, maybe. Because be in no doubt, if the establishment thought that they could get away with forcing everyone in England to carry a trackable ID card in the form of a health passport, they'd do it in a heartbeat. And the people of Wales and Scotland have already meekly accepted them, so it will probably only be a matter of time for England. So Hillary Clinton suddenly appearing on the scene, spouting support for really draconian measures to help the government's psychological so-called nudge unit into gently pushing the populace of England into compliance, will no doubt be quietly welcomed by Big Brother Boris and his team. And Labour will love it. They think Hillary is marvellous. And the Labour Shadow Chancellor Rachel Reeves is calling on the Tory government to immediately go to Plan B. So Labour must also be looking for England to implement vax passports. Everyone will have to have one to go to big events, etc. No jab, no passport, no entry. And this is the party that is frightened of everyone having to prove their identity in UK elections. Except those elections that take place in Labour Party meetings, of course, where a Labour Party membership card must be produced. Anyway, be in no doubt that the people of England are gradually being nudged day by day into accepting a permanent health pass based on vaccine status to prove you are worthy of remaining a part of civilised society. And then mission creep will be set in motion to ensure that you need a vaccine pass to even be able to obtain necessities, like food possibly. In fact, I don't see how that could be actually stopped. And then wouldn't it be sensible to include your carbon usage status on the same system? Save the planet and your life all at the same time, and all for your safety, you understand. And you think they'd never do something like that? Just take a look around you, especially places like New Zealand and Australia and Austria, where in Austria they are considering letting only the jabbed come out to play. The selfish unjabbed would have to stay indoors if ICU bed capacity reaches a certain high point. And here in the UK we are edging towards adopting this Plan B, despite ministers desperately trying to convince us otherwise. Seems they want to bounce us in. So is it any surprise that an email from the UK Health Security Agency, sent out on Friday and originally addressed to local council leaders and public health directors before being leaked to the press, suggests that Plan B measures will be in place sooner rather than later? Is that a Christmas and New Year lockdown I smell coming to enforce our future compliance? So how is the US of A faring under that Democrat Party President Joe Biden, while Hillary Clinton is over here giving us the benefit of her expertise? But before I get to that, I just want to say a massive thank you to all my Super Thanks, Patreon and PayPal supporters, as well as those that do buy a mug with my mug on it. Links in the descriptions box below. You really do help me keep this channel going. Anyway, going back to the US and its Democrat Party politicians, these draconian measures in New York don't seem to have helped Joe Biden's approval rating along, do they? In fact, Sleepy Joe's popularity is plunging faster than any post-Second World War president. That's a worse performance than his immediate 10 predecessors, including one Donald Trump. In fact, according to the pollsters at Gallup, the previous holder of that slide in popularity record was another Democrat Party president, Barack Obama. Not so much walking on water as struggling to keep their heads above it. Now it seems that Biden's popularity is suffering because of a surge in COVID cases in the middle of this year, that absolutely, appallingly uncontrolled havoc of a retreat from Afghanistan, economic problems like rising inflation, the southern border chaos, and supply chain problems with ships stuck out at sea and no way to unload them in a timely manner. Supply chain problems? How can the US be suffering from those? They've not just done a Brexit as well, have they? So what's your opinion on Hillary Clinton calling the UK shots? Please like and comment below.